Hello,
We are
welcome
live.
to the Justice Friends.
We're live, people.
We're live and in living color.
Final stream of the year, and it's our annual album review.
Yes,
that
it
we've
is.
Done every year for. I was trying to think of how long I've done this. I've done this for like 11 years now. I think 2013 was like the first time I did it, and then me and you started doing it
like
2016.
Yeah, 2016 I think is when
Yeah.
we started
Started
doing
going
it.
over our albums, and stuff. So
Yeah, like because we've done the talks and like we've filmed stuff. Some stuff's been on YouTube. We've done Instagram lives. We've done lives on other things. Like we even did Zooms on it.
I was
like-
trying to think. Did we do this last year though, or
Yeah, we did it last. No, we
I
didn't.
think we like forgot, or
We just didn't have time last year, so we just shared our like albums like on Instagram. Yeah, so like we just shared it.
We do that every year, anyways.
Yeah, I must say we do that all the time.
But sometimes we get together and we talk about our favorite albums of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So we're back again to do that today. Kind of a good way to close out the year.
Exactly.
It's like a nice recap for ourselves as music fans too. Because we make music, but we also listen to music. We also check out a lot of artists still. So
yeah, I mean we're just fans of music in general. So
yeah, and that's kind of how like everything got started anyway. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about some of our favorite stuff from 2024 today. So where should we begin? Because we went over some of the categories earlier today.
Yeah.
We'll save the albums, obviously.
Yeah, that's last. Like, albums are always
here's
last.
the order I had it on my list here. I had favorite songs first, then producer of the year, artist, most disappointing album, and then the projects.
That works for me, yeah. That's good for me.
So if there's anything else that comes up,
Honestly,
that's fine.
That's kind of similar to how I had it on my thingy. Yeah. So, like, yeah, it's almost similar.
Yeah, because I went in today and added the rest. All I had was my albums in here, and then I added everything else in.
Right.
So we're good.
Oh, yeah. Trust me. I filled, like, all the other categories in today. Like, the albums list, that's been done for a while.
But, it didn't take me that long, though. Like,
yeah, it didn't take me long.
There wasn't anything I really had to think too hard about.
No, it was pretty easy to, like, put together, like, for the most part. Like, this year in music has been crazy.
Before we start, what I was just thinking this a little bit ago. If you had to give a grade rating of the year from A to F, what do you think you'd give 2024 as a fan of music?
Like a B.
That's what I was thinking. B or B plus.
Yeah, like a B.
I think it was good. I don't think it was phenomenal. I don't think it was like the best year I've ever seen. But it
No.
was good. I think it was better than 2023. Honestly.
Oh, it's way miles ahead of 2023.
Yeah. I think it was. I think it was more in the lanes of like where 2022 was. 2021 was pretty good.
Yeah.
Last year was kind of like.
He was hit or miss.
I think this year was like a step back in the right direction.
I think what happened was we didn't start getting music pushed out until like the middle of the summer.
Yeah, and then like the second half of the year, we've had a ton of
music.
So.
Like everyone and their mother's been dropping.
I mean, it'll be interesting because like I don't know how next year's going to go too, but it kind of seems that's been the trend. Is like around May or June is when it starts to pick up.
Yeah,
it seems like the first few months of the year are always just dead now.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
Yeah, like you maybe get like one or two things in the winter time, like to like hold you over.
You'll get like a lot of singles. You get a lot of people like starting to roll out for their projects, and then
we're going to be starting the year off. Like, I mean, obviously we'll talk about it like here in a little bit.
that's at the end too. Like, what are we looking forward to for 2025?
Yeah, but like obviously when we get there, like I mean, there's already a couple things announced that are going to start off the year strong. So we'll probably have a solid start to 2025. We got a lot of stuff to go over, but 2024 in general, it's been a great year for music.
I agree. I'd give it a B or B plus.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, it's not 2016.
No,
but
will anything ever top 2016?
I don't think anything can ever top 2016. 2018 is probably the closest.
Yeah, 2018 was pretty good. Like I said, I think 2022 was actually pretty good.
22 was really good.
This year was decent.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
2016 and 2018, respectfully, I think are the really best years of music. Yeah, they were
just
really
so
good.
many different artists dropped, too. I even think 2015 was honestly kind of...
2015 was already also a really good
year. A lot of great albums dropped.
Yeah, there was a lot of classics that dropped during that year.
All right, so do we want to start then with the songs then?
Yeah, let's go.
I put 3 songs. I don't know how many you put.
I think I have.
Because I could have had more. I just wanted to kind of do like the 3 off the top of
I have
head.
6.
Okay.
So like so
do you how do you want to do this? Me do one, you do one.
Yeah, let's just back and forth. Yeah, like obviously, and then like my next three, obviously, I'll just break them down like super fast. But yeah, we'll just go back and forth.
You want to go first?
Yeah. So top tracks this year, a lot of singles this year that I really liked. There was a lot of good music out. A track that stood out like first was "Fuel" by Eminem and JID. That's been a song that's been in rotation for me all year since it came out.
Is that a single from the album?
It is one of the singles, yeah, and it's a really great like feature because one, I love JID and like M. Those two just work like they click together, and it was a really good like fast paced like adrenaline song showcasing their rapping ability, them just trying to outbar each other. It's in my gym playlist, so like I just listen to that to get hyped
was
now.
Was that the first collab between those two, or they had already done
I think that was the first collab, yeah. I don't think the collab's on anything
I
else.
didn't know if they did. For some reason, I thought they did something on like the Kamikaze album or something, but
Nah.
I think I was thinking of someone else.
Nah, I know JID's done like some Eminem like type stuff. Like I think he's done like freestyles over Eminem beats, and like he's done things that emulate M. But like this is the first time I think they've ever like officially collabed. Yeah, worked on an actual song together. Which is like I said, it's a really great song. It like was one of the highlights from the album, so I listen to that song religiously now. And like I said, like it's a hype song to get like into, like if you're in the gym, if you just want to get amped, like it's just a really good song.
Yeah. See, I only really heard the album, and I'm sure you'll probably talk more about this album, but I only heard the album like one time. I thought it was pretty good. I'm not really listening to Eminem that much these days.
I get it. Yeah.
What I used to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I'll have to revisit that one for sure, because I think it's an interesting collab, just the two, and being from different generations of hip hop.
Yeah, exactly.
And how JID is kind of revered as like one of the younger people that's like a big lyricist,
right,
in Dreamville.
And then you got M, who's like the veteran of this.
Yeah, I would honestly like to see Cole and M eventually.
I do want to see that. I was hoping that was going to be on the album, but
it's kind of shocking they haven't done anything. Really,
I know.
In their whole time of like both being pretty big.
Yeah,
because J. Cole's been big now for a while. So
right.
It's like,
yeah, it's a mystery how those two have never linked up.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah. Go ahead with your
track.
track.
So my first one is Samurai by Lupe Fiasco.
Great song.
Which was the first title track. It's the title track from the album, but it's the first song that came out from the album. I had no idea that he was dropping an album this year. When they announced it, I was like, I don't even know what this is about.
Right.
I'll talk more about the album later, but the song itself was a great
it's a great song.
It came out, I think, like the beginning of June or the end of May or something.
Well, because the album came out like towards the end of June, so like it came out like I want to say May.
And I just thought it was just a great like classic hip hop type of track. Soundtrack, who's produced a lot of the Lupe stuff, made the beat.
Yeah.
So like it was the quintessential sound for Lupe. I felt like he was lyrically on point. And then, like, later on, when I found out that it was the Amy Winehouse concept, and I went back and, like, listened to the lyrics more, and I was like, oh, this is from her perspective. Like, this is a song about her being a battle rapper.
Right.
So I was like, you appreciate it on the surface level for just being a good, cool song.
Yeah, but then you hear it in the context of the album.
Yeah, and then when you understand the concept of the project and the overall theme of everything, you're like, wow, this is a really, like, deeper song than I thought.
Yeah.
You can still enjoy it on the surface level.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is why I think that's why I like Lupe so much, because you can enjoy his songs on many different levels.
Yeah, and it just like keeps you guessing every time you listen to it.
And I felt myself replaying that one a lot. I think it was a great track to kick off the album as well, to be the intro. And I tried not to overplay it too much before the album, because I was like, okay, this is awesome, but like, let me just wait for the album. So that was definitely on my list of top songs.
No, that's definitely a viber record. Like that definitely like the hook and like the instrumental in general, like just get you engaged with it almost immediately.
Yeah.
So like it's like one of those songs that like you can just turn on, and like for people that don't, dive deep into Lupe like me and you do, like it's just like a really good song, so people can appreciate that aspect of it. But then me and
you don't even have to know the concept of the song or the album to just know what it's about.
Yeah.
And, like, appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just like something like you can just listen to and just have fun with. Yeah. It's just a carefree, like, good song.
Yeah. So, it's my first one. So, what's next from you, sir?
Next up is good old Mr. Gangsta Gibbs, Freddie Gibbs, Ruthless. That song just instantly clicked with me when I heard it. when I was listening to the album and I just like caught wind of that sample, I just was immediate stink face. Like, I loved it. I'm a sucker for a good guitar loop in there. Like I just loved everything about it.
Who made that? Do you know?
I don't know. I'd have to look at it. But like,
it wasn't Alchemist, was it?
No, it wasn't Alchemist. No, but where is it at? Hold on, let me look. Because
I would guess probably like Conductor or like I don't even know who. I don't know who all like does production for.
Oh, it's a bunch of new cats. Okay. Yeah, I have no idea who they are, but like, yeah, I just happened to hear that, and it was just very engaging. Obviously, I love Freddie over those like super simple like type sample loops, and like just just letting him just talk and just get a nice like decent hook out, and it just like really just captivated me in a way that Freddie always does. Like when he gets in like his R&B centric like style of rapping, and like he can like go off of stuff like that I feel like that's when he's at his best. Like, because like you have like the somber engaging sample that like is so smooth, and like you could be like, oh, I could see like an R&B artist like going to town on this and like making this like a very emotional song, but then Freddie takes it in a different direction, and he's just like
rapping on the whole.
Yeah, I'm just trying to like get like some like nice coke raps on this, and like it just sounds great and elegant, and it's just very smooth, and like it's a good nighttime record to just drive around and just listen to. So I
kind of like how the album was in general, kind of.
Pretty much, yeah. That's how I felt about the whole album. Is like, the whole album to me just felt like a very like vibrant and like very smooth album that you can just kind of coast with, and it just like I said, that song out of all the bunch was just the one. Like, obviously there's more songs on there that I really enjoyed, but this one, like, instantaneously I was like, this is the one. This is the one that I'm just gonna stick with and listen to all the time.
And I still gotta like sit with. I only heard really just like snippets and previews of the songs. I haven't really sat with the full album yet.
Right.
But I know you said it was one of your favorites of the whole year because it came out like Halloween Day.
Yeah, Halloween Day. Yeah.
So because I was on vacation during that week, so I didn't really get to like hear it when it came out or anything. So one of these days I'm gonna have to like sit with it more and really listen to it more, because he waited like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, it was like 2 years since like the last album. So, and like I was like yearning for some Freddie Gibbs, and he was just like, "Well, damn, here."
Well, damn. Here you go. I know you wanted it, but
just dropped that on me like out of nowhere, and then gave me one of my favorite tracks of the year.
Yeah, that's pretty good. My next one is from the Kyle and Pete Rock album. It's Stellar.
Oh,
god damn! That might be my favorite like sampled record of the whole year. And I don't know like what he sampled on the song, but like just that production from Pete. That's probably one of my favorite Pete Rock beats I've ever heard. Honestly, like just immediately like reels you in.
Yeah, just
and I felt like that was because me and you we were talking about, and I'll get to this later. We were talking about the Common and Pete Rock thing, how like exciting that was a rumor that like those two were going to do an album, but we didn't want to get our hopes up because we were like,
Common's let us down in the past.
Not only that, but we didn't even know if it was like actually a thing. We just heard like rumors and snippets and things like that. But like when I thought of the idea, this is like the type of track I wanted them to do, was like super just lyrical,
just like hip hop,
and
sample heavy.
Just felt like so comfortable on that song.
Exactly.
Like if I had to tell anybody like what does the album sound like, I'd probably play them that song. Because to me that's the best. That's like the standout.
Yeah,
song
that one's like one of the top songs.
And I found myself just listening to that all summer long. Like from the time it came out, still I feel like once a week I'm at least playing that song probably if it comes on.
Yeah, it's such a good.
I hear that and I'm like, I gotta listen to it now. I'm like, I can't skip this.
Yeah, it's such a classic song.
And then the whole outro where Pete Rock's doing like the scratches and the cuts from different records in it for that whole outro. I'm like, this is incredible. Like that to me is just the best song that they did on the whole album. If I had to pick a song of the year, I'd probably say, at least for hip hop, that's probably my song of the year.
Really?
Like, it's just such a classic song, and I think it can be appreciated by people that love the old school stuff. But I think if people like new school hip hop, they could hear that and be like, "Oh, I enjoy this," because it's still more modern. It's not like a super like dated sound. Like it's not like 90s. Like you can tell it's from like 2024. Still.
Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like if people were, kind of down on Common the last few years, if they heard that, it would probably remind them like, oh, Common's actually really good lyrically.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, did we forget like how good this guy actually is? But yeah, that just like hearing that song just made me super hyped for the project, but then for like what they're gonna do for Volume 2, if they do a Volume 2.
Yeah, if that Volume 2 comes out, I expect it to be just as equal quality, if not better.
So, like, that to me was the standout from that album, and I'll talk more about that later. But
absolutely.
Yeah, that was definitely one of my favorites of the year. So.
All right, my next one comes from a good old artist of mine, Childish Gambino. It is Lithonia, and this song, before the album was released, was teased so much in the months leading up to it. Like, because all you ever heard was the first part of the song.
Yeah.
Like, but it was, like, completely different from what the song actually was. Because
sometimes that's not a good thing, though.
Yeah, that's...
Sometimes people get hyped on a snippet, and then they hear it, and they don't like the full actual song.
Well, no, because, like, it's a completely different song. Like, because, like, it starts out, like, so... like lackadaisical, like it just starts super like, oh, this is gonna be like an emotional type song. It's like not gonna be anything crazy. And then when you actually hear like when you get to the nobody gives a fuck, and then it's just a full rock anthem, and you just hear this guitar riff just out of nowhere. And then Gambino just like goes full engaged into this rock element.
I think you played me that song.
Yes.
Because you played me, I didn't hear the full album, but I heard like at least like 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah. Lithonia was like a very like, it caught me off guard by like how amazing that song ended up becoming.
But just different than like what you expected.
Yeah. And then you take the original like lyric that you put out for months, and then you put that into the rock element, and you're like, Cody LeRae, like that just like is so crazy. The music video for it was insane. Like it was such a wild concept for a music video, and like the song it gives you the good classic rock feel that you would like it's like very grunge, and like it just gets you like engaged almost instantaneously.
You just wouldn't expect it from him.
No, I was not expecting that from him at all. And I know he's very versatile in himself anyway, but just to hear how he developed that into the rock anthem that it became, and how well he executed it, and the outro on this is beautiful. So, like, everything about the song, I just loved, and I knew that I was going to end up loving the album, because I'm like, oh, if this is just the first single, what's the album going to be like?
Right.
And so that was, like, a nice taste, because as a Gambino fan, you never know what you're going to get with the cat. Like, it's either going to be a very shitty album, or it's going to be a pretty amazing body of work. Like, there's no in between. It's
now
like,
you don't know if he's ever going to put out an album again now.
Yeah, so, he's retired, but in music, does anyone ever stay retired? Like,
not really.
Exactly. So, I mean, it is what it is. But, Gambino, Lithonia, like, great record.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Give it a listen.
Yeah. Giving self-promotion to Gambino like he fucking needs it.
Right.
Yeah, let me get these 2 guys in like a basement to give me some promo. That's
all he needs.
As Gambino pops up. I like what you're saying, guys.
He's like, I'm in the chat. God. So the last one I had was from the Sky Zoo album that I was telling you about. It just came out like 3 weeks ago. The song's called Record Store Day. Mm-hmm. You would definitely like this song. It's about, he basically tells a story about like going to a record store and meeting a girl, and then being like, oh, I would not expect her to be in this record store. And it's like him talking to her about like the music they're into and like what they enjoy and stuff.
Right.
But just the way he like story tells the whole thing and like articulates everything is like super cool. I love the beat. It's the most in-depth song really on that whole album. But it's definitely like a standout song. Like I feel like it's another one kind of like the Common Pete Rock one, where like if you're just a fan of hip hop, you could probably appreciate the song.
Right.
Like you don't even have to know anything about Sky Zoo or like what he usually raps about or anything. It's a song that I think is just like a super cool
just a storytelling record.
So, and it's pretty long. It's like, I think it's like almost 5 minutes in total, because they do like a kind of a beat switch up.
Yeah,
there's like a chorus breakdown, and then they do like a little beat switch up at the end. And he starts talking about like the records that he's into and the records she's into. Starts like naming artists and stuff. But I just thought it was a cool concept of a song, and I was like, a lot of people could probably relate to that song in some type of way, or like meeting like somebody that's like, oh, you didn't expect that person to be into the same type of music you are, or whatever, and then you're like, oh, we're like friends now, or like, whatever. So, it's definitely a cool record. And like I said, it just came out like 3 weeks ago, but I think that's definitely my favorite from the project, and probably one of my favorites that he's done. Because he has a lot of awesome songs that I enjoy, but this was definitely one that I would have expected him to do like a long time ago. I don't know if this was something he did like a while ago and just decided to put it out now. But as far as like concept, storytelling, lyrical ability, and the production, like all on point. So definitely would recommend.
I definitely got to listen to that still.
Yeah. So that's the last one I have. You said you had 3 more?
Yeah, but I'm just only going to do one just to like cut it off. This last one, this is a recent one. It is by Rose, not Rick Ross Rose.
Not Ricky Rose.
Yeah, not Ricky Rose. Give me the belly. But this is by a K-pop artist, Rose, featuring Bruno Mars. It's called Apartment, but it's APT. And this actually caught me off guard because, like I was telling you, I was just scrolling one day. I heard like the chorus of this song, and then I was just like, "Oh, this is kind of catchy. Like, let me just like go check this out, see what this is." I don't know who this Rose person is, but I went on YouTube because that's usually how I first listen to people, is like on YouTube. But I found her with the music video of Bruno Mars, and I think what helped the song stick more with me is watching the music video with it, because the song is great. Don't get me wrong. The song is great. I thought it really gave me Paramore type of vibes, and I really enjoyed the alternative pop like elements of it. Yeah. And it was very catchy. Bruno Mars did his thing on there to elevate the song. But yeah, watching the video with it, I think captured it more, because you felt the fun nature of the song when you watch the video. Yeah. I feel like by itself, like it's like, yeah, it's a cool song, but watching it with the video definitely gave it its oomph of like, oh, this is fun, this is upbeat, this is very like goofy elements of it. Like they just had fun with it.
Basically.
Yeah, it gave you like an introspective look on it. So like that made me appreciate the artistry a lot more. And like I said, for like never knowing about this person and never like hearing a song by her before, and that this song then led me to listen to her debut album. Like I was like, clever marketing. I'll say that. But as a song, I will say that's a recent one that like went into the playlist. It's, like I said, very catchy, very engaging, and like it's very hard to get out of your head once it's stuck in your head. So.
And the last couple of weeks on my Apple Music like R&B playlist, I've seen her songs start popping up now. So it must be getting pretty popular.
Yeah, like I said, girl's talented. I'll give her, like, the girl is talented. Yeah. She captivates you almost immediately.
Yeah, I'll have to give a listen eventually. So check out what she's got. But next up, I have Producer of the Year listed.
I'll let you start this one.
I honestly don't really think there's a standout producer this year personally that was like killing everything. I put down Alchemist just because he continued his run of being pretty consistent with projects. I love his vlogs on YouTube that he does, like of his tours and stuff. Like every time he's overseas, he will always do the shows. Like I think he continued doing tour with Boldy James overseas. It was pretty cool, so he documented that. I don't know, like Dr. Dre did some cool stuff. Like, he just did the Snoop Dogg album.
Yeah. I still haven't listened to that.
Like I said, Pete Rock, I think just from doing the Common album could have his
could
name
have the
thrown
thing in there, yeah.
I kind of wish Pete Rock would start doing more with other artists and kind of just
branch out a little bit more.
I don't know if they'll do that or not. Because I think he kind of proved to a lot of people that, like, he's still one of the best producers ever. Like, I think people just don't really think about him a ton now because he's not super active. Like, he puts out, like, instrumental tapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he's not in everybody's face all the time.
Yeah, exactly. He's not always on top of things and always out there.
So, like, it would be cool to see Pete Rock, like, get back to consistently doing big projects with people and things like that. But to me, there's really no producer to me that was, like, the standout producer, in my opinion. Like, I don't know how you felt about it, but that's just kind of, like, how I viewed it.
So I do have an actual standout producer.
Who is that?
I chose Metro Boomin. So
see, that's the thing. I feel like you could choose him every year, though.
You can, but
it's kind of like Alchemist and like those other.
But
like,
here's why I'm choosing Metro for this year. Now you can choose him for every year. You can. The reason I said that he, out of all of them, made the most noise, he put out 2 of the biggest rap albums this year with Future, with We Don't Trust You and We Still Don't Trust You. And with the first album, elevated one of the biggest rap beefs of the year with Like That, with the 2.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, got himself involved in said rap beef and produced one of the funniest meme songs, BBL Drizzy, of all time. And then he gave rappers on SoundCloud opportunity to rap on the beat and get a free beat from the man. So, like, that alone set it up to where, I have to say, out of all the producers, possibly it was him that stood out the most. Like everyone, like, obviously it wasn't like he captivated the entire year.
It was mostly that spring.
Summertime. Like, I feel like that was when he shined the brightest and he took exception of the moment. And that's where I feel like out of everyone, like, I don't think anyone else has that type of exposure that he had during that time. Everyone has records that they've, produced and put out. And they've helped
for a different reason. Like he had almost a big year, but in a different way than he's ever had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, like, this was a big year for him because of not only great music that was produced, but also captivating and creating moments with the music that he made. Like there's still Like That being rotated everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And, like, it's the thing that started the whole Drake and Kendrick thing in the first place. So from that standpoint, I'm like, I have to stamp you as producer of the year for this year, just on you helped elevate
of the whole thing.
Yeah, you helped elevate one of the biggest rap moments of the year.
Yeah.
So that's why I put him in high regard.
Yeah, that's fair, honestly. And I think that's a good segue into the next category, which I think we're going to both have the next 2 categories pretty spot on.
Yeah.
Artist of the year.
It's Kendrick.
Yeah.
And like, it's Kendrick. Like, no one has had a better year than Kendrick Lamar. Like,
he's probably had his best year of his career, but for all the reasons you would never think, basically, that he would have a great year.
Yeah, like, it's just... And this is before he even dropped the album.
Yeah.
Like, before the album dropped,
he was like icing on the cake.
Yeah, exactly. It was like a little cherry on top of a great year by Kendrick. Yeah. Comes on and does the Like That song with Future and Metro Boomin. That starts a fire in Drake. And Drake thinks he can shoot a shot at Kendrick. So he starts dropping some songs, saying drop, drop, drop. And then Kendrick is like, okay, this is what you want. And then, like, gun compartment. Like, but...
I'm going to give you what you want.
Yeah. but then we get 4 diss records from Kendrick that were so huge. Yeah. One of them is one of the hugest diss records of all time.
Yep.
And it's a song calling a man a PDF file. One of the biggest records of the year is a PDF file. And then on top of that, he has the Juneteenth show where he brings all of the West Coast on to perform in one of the most amazing concerts. I wish I could have been there for that. Because the pop out show was amazing. You got all the artists that are unknown to underground artists to mainstream acts to Black Hippie, and then the main event is Kendrick. That was a moment in hip hop, and I was like, "This is
literally only happened because of the diss." Happening
right? Having Dr. Dre introduce "Not Like Us" is a moment I will never forget in my life. That is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Basically just sealed the deal.
Yep.
Honestly.
Right there.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
If it wasn't already.
Exactly. And then dropping the Not Like Us music video where he filmed in Compton and had all of LA in the video. That was a victory lap right there. Yeah. And then you don't hear from him. Then he gets announced for the Super Bowl. And drops an album after that.
Which ends up being a really great album.
Fantastic.
Which I think to me is kind of why I put him in Artist of the Year, is because he did all that stuff, which could have honestly caused a big distraction for him, honestly.
Right.
Which is because I didn't really know where it was headed for a while.
Right.
And then, like you said, he kind of tucked away again for a bit. And then I was really impressed with how good the album was. Because I was I didn't really know what we were going to get when he eventually did drop an album. But, it was just a very well thought out, introspective album. Exactly what you would expect from Kendrick.
Yeah, exactly.
With a lot of new styles on it, too.
Oh, yeah.
That alone just impressed me on top of everything else that happened.
Right.
So I was he honestly had a flawless year from top to bottom. And like you said, he's going to be doing the Super Bowl in 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows what that's going to do?
Yeah, next year might elevate him even more. And he's going on a national tour with SZA next year. So
and who knows if he drops more music, because he just dropped a thing last night.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was an old.
It's an old song, but it was finally released to the public.
So
it's just who knows with that guy.
Yeah.
Who knows where we're going to go.
But yeah, I think that's a pretty obvious choice.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's going to be everyone's Artist of the Year. I think I've seen him.
Unless you're a Drake fan.
Unless you're a Drake fan.
You're going to be delusional and be oh.
But even if you're a Drake fan, you can't say he was Artist of the Year because Drake didn't really do anything this year.
Oh, people would, though.
People would, but you have there's no argument. He didn't do anything this year.
Yeah.
I would say, Tyler, the Creator, did more this year than Drake, gonna be honest.
Yeah, in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, exactly. But I digress. Yeah, Kendrick is the Artist of the Year. Yeah. That's undisputed.
Pretty obvious choice.
Yeah.
Next up, I think we're gonna share this as well. Most disappointing album.
So I have two.
You're
but one, we definitely have the same.
Well, Big Sean.
Yeah, Big Sean better than me than you.
Yep.
What a disappointment.
So I feel like I was probably waiting on this since Detroit 2 came out, because I was Detroit 2, not my favorite Sean album, but a very good effort, very solid album. I enjoyed the rollout for that album. I enjoyed the callbacks to the original mixtape that was a huge mixtape.
Yeah.
And then they ended up putting the mixtape on streaming a couple years later. I thought the whole rollout for that album was cool. The rollout for this album made no fucking sense.
It was awful. It was the worst executed rollout he's ever done.
From literally the top of the year until it came out. I still remember he put out, I don't even remember the song now, but he put out a song in March around his birthday. And I was super hyped.
Pew pew, that song?
I was super hyped. I listened to it.
Hold on, I can look it up.
Well, you definitely don't play it because we're on
I can't play it, but I'll look it up.
The name of it is. But anyway, that song just didn't do it for me. And I was like, well, that was a bit disappointing. And I was like, well, he I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes he doesn't drop great songs, but the past few albums have been pretty good overall. I know that he's relatively good with dropping albums, coming up with concepts for them. I was pretty much out the moment.
Precision, that's the name of it. Yeah.
The moment he announced the title of the album, I was like, that's a pretty not creative title of an album. And I still don't know what it means.
I still hate the cover.
I hate the title. the cover is whatever. I hate the title. And then he dropped that second single, the Yes song, which is awful.
Yeah, that is awful.
I can't stand
like that
is
song. The worst
it's
song.
One of the worst songs he's ever made.
Like it's definitely top 5 worst songs he's ever done.
When that whole thing started, I was like, oh man, we might be in for a bad album. And then he pushed the album back like another month because it was going to come out like the week after he announced all the stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
It was going to come out in August initially, like the beginning of August. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, well, we'll wait. He pushed the album back a month. But I don't think he did anything.
No, he didn't really change anything. Like, he didn't do anything.
Like, he didn't add songs in. He didn't... And I'm pretty sure he went on live and on social media and said that he wasn't changing anything.
Yeah, so
he was just like, yeah, I'm overwhelmed. My schedule is all booked up. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like... If you're not going to change anything, usually when you push an album back, you're going to add to it, you're going to take things away, you're going to kind of condense it, maybe you're going to get a verse from someone.
Yeah, but nothing happened.
Not to mention, all the songs that were rumored to be on this thing, none of them were on it. Like, there was supposed to be an A$AP Rocky song that was supposed to be on it, a Nas song that was supposed to be on it, a bunch of other tracks that I had heard snippets of, none of them were on this project.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? The only thing that I enjoyed, really, was the Alchemist collab.
I like that.
I enjoyed a couple other songs. That's about it. But it's such a long album. I understand the concept of the album. He's talking about him being a parent now and like life changing a bit. I get it. It's not for me though.
No, it's
just not for me. And I think the overall concept and the execution of it and the rollout was just really poorly done.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed. It honestly has me not even excited for what he does next, which is kind of shitty.
I know, same.
Like, if he drops something next year, I probably won't even be excited for it unless it ends up being good. So, like, I don't know, man. Because you got to think the last thing he dropped, even after Detroit 2, was that Hit Boy EP, which was really good.
Yeah, that was really good.
So, like, that whole era of music for him was actually really good.
Yeah.
And he took a couple years, and then he comes back with this, which I'm just like, this feels like just a half-ass.
Well, you gotta think of it this way too. Like he was on a good stretch from Dark Sky Paradise and I Decided, and then he dropped the Metro collab that was awful. And then
maybe it's kind of similar to that, where like he needs to kind of take.
Like he needs to drop a piece of trash.
How do you take like almost 3 years? It was technically 3 years.
Yeah, it was like 3 years.
Drop
almost.
This, then it's like, you made us wait that long for this.
I know. Yeah, it just was very underwhelming. Like nothing about this. There was no replay value in this. There was nothing. There was nothing that blew me away about this album.
Yeah.
The features were underwhelming. Like nothing stuck. I only liked maybe like the final like couple tracks, and then I had like tracks here and there that I was like, okay, this is kind of cool.
Even the songs I like, I don't think they're even close to like his best.
No, like I rarely return to those songs because like it's just like these are not your best effort.
And I feel like when I listen to them now, I remember how disappointing the album was, and I'm just like, well, what's even the point?
I know.
Like,
and it was such a high anticipation for me and you. Yeah. Like we were so hyped for this album, and then like just to be let down.
A lot of people were, honestly.
Yeah.
But
like it's very bad that we wait all this time. You drop a great album the last go around, and you come back with this that's underwhelming, no replay value, nothing of substance. Well, not nothing of substance. Like he had interesting things to say. Yeah. It's just the way he went about it and the beats that he chose were not great. Yeah. And the style, like, yes, I still question where the decision making was for that.
That
like
God, there's another song on there that was really atrocious, and I actually couldn't make it through to the end of it.
There's
like a feature on it.
Yeah, there's like
I forget the guy's name. He's like a newer rapper. Don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah,
that song
I don't
was really
remember.
bad too.
Yeah.
So if your album has songs that are so bad that I can't even make it to the end of them, that's probably not good.
Yeah, it's not a good sign. Like if I'm thinking about skipping the record, like it's not a good sign that this is good. Yeah, so, that's all.
So what is your other one then?
Conway the Machine. Good Lord, what's the name of this pile of garbage? Hold on.
I feel like I remember hearing about this.
Oh
but
yeah.
I don't.
Oh, yeah.
No, I know, because we had a conversation about it, because you said that you
Slamface
thought he should just take a break.
Yep.
Because you're like, he's done, like, very mid projects the last...
It's the same thing every time. Like, Here's the thing. He's my favorite out of Griselda. He's my favorite rapper out of Griselda. I love usually what he drops. His verses are always the best to me. Like, better than Benny. Like, sorry, the Benny fans. But, like, I think Conway's a better rapper. I'm sorry. He got shot. And he raps, like, the side like this. Like, he's the GOAT. But here's the thing. Is ever since... What was the project that he dropped?
I feel like he's got like 20 albums.
Yeah,
I don't think he has as many as Westside.
No, he definitely doesn't.
He probably has like second most behind. Westside.
I want to say God Don't Make Mistakes. Like, that was the last thing that I semi-enjoyed. Like, it wasn't my favorite, but like I enjoyed it because he took risk on that album. Like, then ever since then, I feel like the fans have just gotten in the way, and they want the Derringers type songs and the super grimy songs.
Every Griselda fan is the same.
Yeah,
like,
they want the same
or Derringer or Conductor.
They never want to mix it up, and if they do mix it up, they shit on it because they try something new. And I'm like, no, try something new.
Yeah, because I remember when Hit Boy did the one on Conway's album with Dej Loaf, that was a big record, everybody hated it.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, don't work.
But I thought it was a good record. I thought it was good. Okay. But yeah, all the Griselda fans ruin them expanding their sound.
They're very, for some reason, it's very toxic. It's a very toxic thing.
Like, it's very toxic that they can't let go of a particular sound from them. Yeah. And they always feel like they have to do the same sound.
Why I like what Benny said in the one. I listened to an interview with him like the end of last year, and he was talking about how he's not technically off Griselda, but he kind of is doing his own thing.
Well, yeah,
because he's
Griselda's not even really a thing anymore.
Because he's like, I wanted to evolve and do other things.
Right.
He's like, it's no knock on anybody else, but and it's no knock on the fans, but they just wanted everybody to keep doing the same thing over and over.
Exactly. And that's where I feel like Conway went with this project, where he is doing the exact same thing that got him to the dance, and there's nothing exciting about it anymore. Like, I've heard this type of song from you before. I've heard these sounds before from you. Give me something different. Like,
I can already hear a song without hearing it. It's
exactly.
A piano going.
Yeah, like that's all it is.
Drums,
like, From King to a God is such a great album from him because it's a mix of different sounds.
And
the
one from 2020?
Yeah, the one from 2020. Yeah. And it's amazing. And I'm like, do that.
Yeah, but everybody hated that.
I know, but it's my favorite Conway project. And I'm like, do more of that. Yeah. But nope. Everyone just wants him to keep being Derringer, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Conway. I want you to do better. I want you to do better.
Westside was doing the same thing, though. Like, he was kind of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Like, and he would put out 6 albums a year of 30 songs each, and every song just sounded the same the whole time. And I'm just like, man. It's worth mentioning, though. Benny's album was also disappointing.
Benny's album was also disappointing. I could have
probably put that on here. I honestly forgot about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was very disappointing to me. He hyped it up a lot, and to me, it just wasn't.
It just wasn't up to par.
It didn't hit me. Yeah.
Griselda is they're not. Their stock is going down. Stocking.
Do we count Boldy James and Griselda? He's still doing.
Yeah, I mean, technically you could count him in Griselda.
So.
Yeah, but
I've never been the biggest Griselda. I don't follow everybody's work. I respect what they do.
I mean, I love
hearing them on features and stuff.
I love Boldy though. Like, Boldy, I feel like drops all kinds of good.
And he does different stuff.
Yeah, exactly. He does different.
That's associated with the label.
What is missing.
So,
Boldy takes risk.
Yeah.
The others do not. Yeah. So that's where we'll leave.
And I guess Benny is kind of changing up the sound a bit, but not in a good way.
Not in a good way, no.
Like I would like to hear Benny work with Ninth Wonder or Pete Rock or someone like that. That would be kind of cool.
Those would be some good picks
even when he's been on songs with Static Selecta as a producer, I like what they've done. Do more of that type of stuff. But I don't know. I'm at a loss. Overall, though, I wasn't really disappointed by a ton this year.
Not a ton,
but that is because I don't listen. Again, it's kind of like movies. If I'm not super intrigued by it, I'm not probably going to listen to it. So I'm not even going to get to the point of being disappointed by it.
100%.
But the Big Sean thing was pretty bad.
Yeah, that shit was bad. Yeah, I'm glad we're in agreement on that. Yeah.
So, all right, well. Anything else before we get to the albums?
No, I think we're here for the main event.
Okay.
Give the people what they want.
Favorite albums of the year.
All right, so we just doing it like we normally do, back and forth.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to start, or
you know what?
How many do you have? I have 9.
So I have 10.
Okay, so I usually do 9. I'll probably do like an honorable mention or something if I think of one.
Yeah.
I was pretty satisfied with the 9 that I have though. So.
Okay. Yeah, it's like I'll do my 10 if you want to do an honorable mention after this, and then I'll go into 9, and then we can officially start. Yeah. My number 10 is Logic Ultra 85.
God, I almost forgot that came out this
year. Yep, I know, right?
It was a good album.
Yeah, it's a great album. Like
it just came and went though.
Yeah, I know.
Nobody came, people received it, and then it just vanished.
Because here's the thing about that album. It's it has great songs on it.
Yeah.
And it's some of Logic's best work.
Yeah.
And it's really well produced.
It was worth the wait of waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
What, 7 years?
Yeah, it was like 7-ish years, 6 years, like something like that. Yeah. And it was worth the wait. And yeah, I feel like what you're saying is true. Like, the album just kind of came and went. Like, everyone loved it. I remember reading everyone loved it, and everyone thought it was a really great project. But then it just kind of went down the.
It came out in what, August?
Yeah, August, I believe.
Yeah.
July, maybe.
Somewhere in the
summer. Yeah, somewhere in the summer.
Might have even been September. For
maybe. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, it just went out.
I know it was the second half of the year. That's all I really know about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I think if you don't have a mind cradling single, people don't really remember.
Which I thought the single was dope.
Yeah,
because it came out at the beginning of the year. I don't.
Yeah, the 44 Ever.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, that was a dope.
Yeah, that was a great single.
And I was like, oh, that gets me intrigued for the actual album. So
it was great. I thought Logic really took his time with it, got it well put together. I love the concept of it. Obviously, having the skits were always fun with the original. Yeah, listening to that again, it just brought nostalgia of listening to the Incredible Story, my favorite Logic project. So hearing that just gave me a lot of nostalgia. Yeah. So I really, and also having him recreate some of his songs Upgraded and he Fade Away, how he recreated those songs on here. I was like, oh, that's cool that he went back and did that again. Having drama on a couple things here and there, I thought, for me personally, this was a top project of the year.
There's a lot of fan service for the older fans in that project.
Yeah, yeah, it was a good thing for the fans of Logic that love those first couple of albums.
Yeah, and it's been 10 years since Under Pressure this year too. So it was a kind of a tie-in of all the projects from the beginning, basically. So
yeah, nice little.
I think the problem with Logic though is that he just keeps. The whole retire, then come out, then drop really weird projects that no one really enjoys, and then drops great bodies of work, and then the next thing could be another terrible project.
Yep.
We have no idea.
Yeah, it's always up and down. Yeah,
that's why I've never been able to commit to him as a fan of his, because I don't know what I'm gonna get. He's too unpredictable. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff I hear I enjoy, and then other stuff I'm like, that was horrible.
Right.
So you're too much of a wild card for me.
Yeah.
I can't commit.
Yeah, I get you on that. I really can't commit to being a fan of his.
I've wanted to be a full fan of his for the longest time because I hear shit and I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And then I hear other things and I'm like, wow, that was horrible.
Yeah, I don't want to hear this ever again.
So yeah,
I see.
And again, this is another project that this could just be done. You could be done now because that was a great way to go out. Why not?
Hell, even his last 2 bodies of work, or actually his last 3 bodies of work.
The mixtape that he did was cool, and then the project from 2020, which was the retirement album.
Yeah,
what was that called?
No Pressure.
No Pressure.
Yeah,
that was a great album. I thought that was a great album.
Yeah, great. Yeah, because like I said, he's dropped good bodies of work, but then he fumbles it with some shit like Bobby Tarantino 3.
Yeah.
And you're like,
which I didn't even listen to a single song on that project, so I don't really know.
Brother, don't.
I see. That's the thing. Bobby Tarantino 1 and 2 have decent records.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's that's where he would trick me because I'd see that and I'd be like, oh, I like the first 2. Let me go check this out, and then I probably just hate it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is exactly what I'm talking about. I can't trust this guy for anything.
Yeah, but then he dropped something like Vinyl Days, College Park, and this. And then,
single was Fear, I thought.
Oh, was it Fear?
I think that was
That might be what it was, yeah. He might be right.
Yeah.
Like
no, because it was that one, and then it was
44 Ever. Yeah. So it's one of those.
So when I heard that song, the first song, I was kind of sold on the project.
Right.
And just the fact that it was Ultra 85, and he had been talking about it for years, and he finally did it.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm gonna be honest, I forgot all about it.
Yeah,
so,
no, 100%.
Not because it was bad, just because like
it just came and went. Yeah, it just went by the wayside. That's all it was. Not that it's a great album.
Yeah.
Like it's a great album.
Yeah.
But that's why it's so low.
Thank you for the help on that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I appreciate you on that. Good looks.
Okay, so am I up?
Yes.
Okay.
So you're doing an honorable mention.
Yeah. Okay, honorable mention. I gotta think about this for a minute. I don't honestly know. Man, that's tough. I honestly might put the Logic one in honorable mention, maybe.
Okay.
Now thinking about it, because I thought it was a really solid album.
Yeah.
And it's one of the ones that I listened to like from front to back.
Yeah.
When it came out.
Right.
Because I wanted to see it.
Flowed really well.
Yeah.
Like.
Because I wanted to see it through, and like I said, waited that long for him to actually drop it, which I thought was pretty cool that he finally did it. But like I said, I just don't. It doesn't get me excited for anything he's going to do moving forward. Yeah. You just don't know what he's going to do.
100%.
So yeah, that would probably be my honorable mention, honestly.
Okay.
So
I got you.
I keep in mind I don't have mine in order. By the way, I kind of just put them randomly.
Oh, see, I organize.
I can't do it.
I got the analytical mind. Like
I tried in years past. And I'm just like I can't do it, but. Do you want to go next? Do you want me to go?
I mean, if you want to kick it off with your 9, and then we'll just bounce back and forth from there. Okay. Since like you just basically just had to do an honorable mention just because I have 10. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to go ahead with your 9, go ahead, knock it out.
The first one I have on here is by a rapper named Bells, who I don't know if you remember me talking about this dude like 2 years ago. He put out the Scott Free album.
Yeah,
and that was like a album I just discovered because he had Hit Boy and JanSport J producing the whole album. So I was like, oh, well, if they're producing the album, I'll have to check it out.
Yeah.
Ended up being one of my favorite albums of the year. So this year he put out a second album. It's called Life, Death, Somewhere Between. This is another very good album. Yeah. I don't think it's as good as Scott Free. I think it's slightly below Scott Free. Like I'd give Scott Free probably an A or an A+. I'd give this probably an A- somewhere in there. Okay. Because there was like one song that I really wasn't messing with. Everything else though, I really enjoyed. And JanSport J did most of the production again. That's one of my favorite producers. So, and I think he was still telling a lot of very good stories on this project. The song called Good Eye is probably I probably could have put that in one of my songs of the year.
Right.
Just like the sample chop of it and just the story he was telling about like his childhood on there. And hopefully, because I kind of want to get him on like the podcast one day.
Yeah.
Because I've had like conversations with him and DMs and stuff about like his albums and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you're really good, man. Like, just keep putting out music and everything. And I think he's working on another project soon, so I'll be on the lookout for that. But that was like one of the first albums that came out this year that I was looking at, because that came out in like February. I think it came out in the middle of February. Yeah, I mean, just a really good album. I think he worked on it for like probably from the time Scott Free came out until the top of the year. So yeah, it's West Coast, but he's got a lot of different like lyrical styles and the production probably wouldn't give it away that he's like a West Coast artist.
Okay.
But yeah, I'd recommend it. I just recommend checking out him as an artist though, because I think he's a really dope MC.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for people that like aren't super mainstream, people that are kind of on the come up, that have some connections to the industry a little bit.
Yeah.
I definitely check him out. Check that project out and Scott Free. So yeah, that would probably be the first one from the year that really like stood out to me.
Okay.
So yeah.
Nice little start.
Yep.
Okay. So mine is very mainstream. My number 9 is a little off tilter from hip hop. It's more alternative. I have Billie Eilish, Hit Me Hard and Soft.
She came out with an album?
She did.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was really good. And some of the singles from it are very, very huge.
I have to keep getting up to read comments.
No, you're
so
okay.
I apologize. You can keep going if you want. Yeah. As a Logic stan, I have not listened to Ultra 85. See, even
is that like the stands don't even listen to it. So
understands what we're talking about here.
Yeah, he gets it. But so Billie Eilish. So this actually was one that I did not know anything that it was coming.
I was gonna say I didn't even know, and that's the thing when she came. I feel like when she dropped like her first project, it was a big deal.
Yeah, exactly. Like ever since then, it's just been kind of like steady water.
Yeah.
Like if she drops, you just like you have to be in the know about it.
Yeah.
Well, the only reason I found out about it is because I saw a bunch of tweets telling me about how great it was. And so I was like, oh, well, let me go check it out. I didn't even know she was dropping an album. I
didn't know it.
Yeah, but I would like to say the Twitter threads were right.
Yeah.
This was a really solid album. Like, this is probably one of my favorite albums of hers. Like, her and Phineas just get it. They know, like, he knows how to get the best out of her. She knows what sound she needs to make her voice sound amazing. There's a bunch of great, beautiful tracks on here that just kind of captivate you, and like they are very somber. You get a lot of more in-depth look at like her relationships and like her life and what she is into, and like a lot of people treated this as like her coming out like album. So like it was like a very, very cool.
Was the Barbie song on there? The song she did for the Barbie movie?
No,
because that was the last thing I heard that she did. That was like what 2023?
Yeah, 2022, 2023, something like that. So. No, but the song Lunch. Love that fucking song. That's such a catchy song and such a good like single.
I've probably heard something from it, and I don't even know it's her.
Yeah,
so,
like
I don't know.
It's just one of those albums that like because I like certain alternate sounds, and this is the type of alternate sounds that I enjoy. Yeah. Where like you have different instrumental arrangements, but also like it's great singing and songwriting introspectively in there. So like I really appreciated those elements that her and Phineas brought to that. Yeah. So like I was like, this is a really great project. I constantly listen to a bunch of songs from it. Very good songs to cruise to and like listen to. And like some of her songs like blew up big this year, like Birds of a Feather. Like that's what every white girl loves to listen to nowadays, apparently. But
when did that drop then? Was it like
May?
Summer? Okay.
Yeah, it dropped in May.
I figured it was probably the summertime.
Yeah, so like May time, that's when that dropped. And like I said, it's just one of those like that caught me by surprise, and I just really enjoyed it. So that's my number 9.
Nice. Yeah, see, I would have never guessed that would be on your list. But
honestly, I didn't think so. But then looking at the year, I was like, this one.
Well, I mean, at least it's 10. Like it's towards the, like top, there,
right?
Like almost honorable mention.
Yeah,
but yeah. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, I had "Dark Times" by Vince Staples.
Oh, okay.
That was my next one.
Okay.
Again, I didn't really expect him to drop an album like as soon as he did, following the Ramona Park album.
Yeah, exactly.
I like this one probably as much as I like the Ramona Park one. I don't think it's his best album. I think it's somewhere toward like the middle, maybe like 3rd or 4th best album. I enjoy it a lot. I think it could have been a little longer because it was only like 13 songs or something like that. But the Nothing Matters song, that was probably my favorite song on there.
That's a good one.
That's probably the one I replay the most. I really just love the different styles of production that he went for on this. He went more of the Summertime '06 route with this project, which I think a lot of people were kind of wanting him to do again, kind of in his own way.
See, this felt like to me more like the Kenny Beats style.
Yeah, the Vince Staples album.
Yeah, the Vince Staples album.
Self-titled. That's another one that was kind of in the same, like, it's almost like he was working back toward, like, the traditional Vince Staples sound in a way. Because, like, I personally enjoy Big Fish Theory. I think it's a really
I love that album.
A lot of people don't like it because it was a totally different style of production. And people are like, I don't like EDM. I don't really like these different types of beats. And Big Fish Theory is still one of my favorite projects that he's done. But I still think Summertime '06 is the best album that he's done as a full album. I would probably put this, like I said, 3rd or 4th, somewhere in there. But this was a really cool album. Super depressing album.
Yeah,
that's
very
the title,
depressing.
Dark Times. But that's very, like, on brand, I think, for Vince's music. It's not really... I feel like Vince is good at telling super dark stories, but making them very like interesting and reeling you in with the production choices and like everything that he kind of does to craft songs. So I felt this was exactly the same. Like there were songs on here that like it's fun to listen to, but then you're listening to the lyrics and you're like, wow, this is some dark, this is some really messed up stuff.
Right.
So like I think it's very fitting for like the times that we're in now. So I think it came out at like a pretty good time. But and I like how there's really there's no features on this, is there?
No, I don't think there's any features.
Yeah, I kind of like that too. How it's just
him.
Really him for the most part. Because I don't know, like sometimes it's good for artists to kind of do that and just kind of do their own thing.
Yeah, exactly, and make the sounds themselves
and things like that.
Right. So nothing takes away from the music and artistry of it.
Yeah. I don't think this album got any Grammy nods or anything. I think it kind of got overshadowed by some other albums that came out later. But I think I don't think it can be overlooked because I think Vince is always someone that when he drops projects, they're always high quality projects.
Yeah.
And I felt no different about this album. And it's definitely one that I'll keep revisiting because every time like some of those tracks come on, I'm like, yeah, these are definitely up to the standards that I would expect from him musically. So I just don't know, like, because he had said he was going to take some time off music. So I don't know if he's going to still do that or what's.
Well, he's got a show like he's doing season 2 for, so maybe he might take a break.
Yeah, but that was my next one was Dark Times. So
yeah. Well, my next one at number 8 is Schoolboy Q, Blue Lips.
God, I forgot that came out this year.
Yep.
For some reason, I thought that came out last year.
Yeah, nope, came out in March of this year.
Jeez,
yep.
I just forget all these albums.
Yeah, I know. It's been such a crazy year that you forget that this came out. Right? But, like, this only came out in March. Yeah. But Schoolboy Q, I became a fan of him late in, 2020 is when I officially became a fan of him. But, this album is very much, you get more in depth with Q and, his affiliations growing up, his affiliations, with his daughter, with, the street life in LA, and all kinds of stuff. And you start, getting more of, an emotional side from him. With also, you get more trap bangers with him in this album. And that's where I love Q, because he just goes crazy in that, retrospect. And I also love the weird production that he loves to rap on. And he has amazing features on this, from Rico Nasty to Devin, all kinds of crazy features that just help elevate the madness that his life likes to be. And he likes to put that in the music, and he likes to make it an almost a chaotic atmosphere. And that's what this album spoke like to me. Is it was you have your highs, but then when you get to the lows, that's when you really start getting into him and where he thinks mentally about certain subjects and things. And I thought that it was a really well put together project. I thought it didn't overstay its welcome. I just loved everything about it. It gives you the cue that you want, and also gives you a new, more somber, introspective vibe from him that you don't normally get from him. And so with Vince, some of the songs, you hear them and this is a great song, but then you look at the lyrics and you're like, wow, oh my god, this is actually very depressing.
I feel like Schoolboy Q kind of always evolves every time he puts out an album. He's taking the next step of evolving as an artist.
Right.
Kind of like how Tyler does with his album.
Exactly.
Every project is slightly different from the last.
Exactly. It's a new, different sound. It's a new, different vibe. And I love that he took his time with this, because it showed in the art. Thank God For Me is a perfect song. It's such a good song. From the beat switch, the hook, to the vibe of the song is just one of that should have been one of my songs of the year. I'm gonna be honest. That one is amazing. So yeah, I would say that Schoolboy Q did his thing with this one. It's not my favorite, but it is one of my top projects from him for sure. So
that's his fourth. Is that fourth album or the?
I think it's fourth.
Album?
Yeah, it's his fourth one.
Yeah, because I think the first time I really was paying attention to Schoolboy was when he did that part.
Yeah,
and they did the Kanye remix and all that. That was 2016.
Yeah, that's 2016.
Because that was one of the biggest songs of the year. I think in 2016.
Yeah, it was pretty much one of the biggest songs.
Yeah. But yeah, he's another artist that just keeps evolving as he goes. So.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, next up, I have kind of a surprise artist that I didn't even know about at the beginning of the year from Dante Thomas. The album is called An Apple a Day.
Yeah.
I actually interviewed. God, I forget this. What's his name? I gotta look it up now. So,
bear with us, ladies and gentlemen. He's loading the screen.
I should remember his name, but I don't.
It's all right. He's looking it up right now as he types away on the computer. I will commentate the entire endeavor. He sits in thought, wondering if he can ever figure out the name. The screen.
He hosts the Sound Centric podcast, but now I'm blanking on his name. And I feel terrible about it.
Yeah. You should feel terrible, ladies and gentlemen. But it's okay.
He threw out his name.
He threw out his name. That's the kind of professional.
It's pretty bad. He doesn't even have his name on the.
Oh, that is pretty good. Yeah, buddy, you need to get
Adam.
Your name
See, I knew his name was Adam. I just didn't want to say it. Adam Dash. I interviewed Adam Dash from Sound Centric Music.
There you go.
And he told when I asked him in the episode what artist he was listening to, he said Dante Thomas was one of his artists. So I ended up just checking out some of his stuff, and I saw that he had a couple albums out, and I was like, "Oh man, these are really good." Like he had a prequel album to this album that was called "How You Like Them Apples." He had that, and then he had an album called Colors.
Right.
So I listened to those, and I was like, "Man, this is some really good stuff." And then I was talking about Sky Zoo earlier. He actually signed to Sky Zoo for this album. So this album was released through Sky Zoo's label.
Okay.
And so I was already kind of on the train before this album came out, so I was kind of ready to go. I didn't come in after the album came out, but I was like, okay, I like this guy's stuff. Gonna check out the album. And the album definitely lived up to the hype, because I'd say this is probably his best work as a whole.
Yeah.
It's very introspective lyrically. I love the different styles of production. One of his producers named Corey G, I discovered through this album, and now I'm listening to Corey G's stuff because he's put out other projects on his own. I love the different styles that he incorporates. He worked with Kalen Ellis, who is one of my favorite producers, who produced on that Vince Staples album. Kalen Ellis is an incredible producer. Just so many standout tracks on this thing that I would recommend to people. Dust to Dawn, which is one of the first songs, great record. Try, which had Punch from TDE on it, Punch did a verse on it. There's just so many moments and so many different types of vulnerable lyrics in there, where he's either talking about himself or his family or just people around him, and talking about being an independent artist and kind of just building his whole brand from the ground up.
Right.
I like the rollout he did with it. What he did was for a whole year, he did freestyles over Kanye production or a Common song. He would pick different songs
and just go and just
freestyles to kind of build the hype on the album itself, and then he ended up dropping the project. But I definitely put this in my top three. If I had to have a top three, I would probably put this in the top three albums of the year. And then when he did the deluxe version, he dropped 3 more songs for it, and those 3 were also great records. Super, super awesome songs. So I would definitely recommend it, and I would just definitely recommend checking out his body of work, his whole catalog. Yeah. He only, like I said, he only has 3 albums. He's technically not a new artist, but he's fairly new still. So he hasn't dropped a ton of things. He's been on some features here and there, but definitely if I had to pick a artist of the year that I discovered, a newer artist, that's the person I listened to the most this year. Pleasantly surprised. Definitely going to be listening to a lot of his stuff moving forward.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, next up on my list, is I got to get into my R&B bag, and that is Kehlani with Crash.
God, I forgot she put out an album.
Yep, and this came out in like I want to say June, but nothing but smashes on this whole thing. Very good production. She had like cool features, like she had Jill Scott on this thing, like, and she did her thing, like just everything about it. It was very groovy. It was very trap and like pushing the boundary. Usually just the stuff that Kehlani just does.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, I came to the conclusion that like Kehlani is just my favorite female artist.
Yeah.
Because I've yet to meet a project of hers that I did not enjoy. Like
she puts out pretty consistently too. So
like and like she maybe goes like a couple years like without like dropping, but like for the most part, like she usually just goes into the I'm gonna drop an album mode like pretty quickly. And this is no different. Like this has amazing songwriting from a bunch of people. Like Daniel Upchurch is like a songwriter I've been following. He helped write a few things on this thing. And like just everything about this, from like the high energy that starts the album to then going into the more acoustic elements later on in the album, and you start getting more emotional. She starts talking about relationships that she's had publicly and like how this person has cheated on her, and like she's also talked about going out and getting another girl or like another guy and like bouncing back and forth and just being in her bag like the whole album. And I have a theory that Kehlani
I have a theory.
like that Kehlani has some secret sauce that she can just put into any album because she has yet to have a bad album.
Yeah. I feel like she always, like you said, she works with amazing songwriters and producers on every like project that she does, and she's consistent with releasing like material all the time, singles or projects or whatever.
Right, so, exactly. So like
that album she had during the pandemic, which was like her biggest
album.
Like,
exactly. It was great.
So
and had a great cover.
Yeah. I don't know why. You like The Wall?
Yeah.
Water hose?
Yeah, I'm a fan of architecture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you don't know what album that's called, I actually don't know what album that's called. It came out in like 2020 though.
Yeah, I forget
like her biggest album.
Yeah, I forget the name of
for
it.
the cover.
Oh yeah, it was good until it wasn't.
Yeah. Which apparently the album was good.
Yeah, it was good.
It was never not good apparently.
Well, no. Yeah. No, sorry. This is a family show.
Anything else to add on the album?
No, that is all. Kehlani, Crash, great album, great listen.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, next up I had a project that was more of an EP. It was only like 6 songs. It was by Mad Keys, who I actually had on the podcast a couple months ago.
Nice.
I've been following his work for a while. He's a pianist. He plays a lot of instruments. Puts out a lot of projects. Worked with like Stally, artists like that before.
Oh, okay. Nice.
It was kind of cool to get to talk to him. But also had an artist named Paris Price, who I was not familiar with before this, and then an artist named Felix, who I knew from working with Terrace Martin and Robert Glasper and Ninth Wonder on the Dinner Party album that came out a few years ago. That was one of my favorite albums of 2020. So I knew him from doing the hooks on that, so I was like, okay, I'm familiar with him. Didn't know anything about Paris Price, but they ended up forming a group that's called Hue Sound, and they did a project called Lightwork this year.
Oh, okay.
And that was like a super just random project that I found from being a fan of Mad Keys. Heard it, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. So basically, like, Felix and Mad Keys did all the production, and then Paris Price did all the verses, some of the hooks, and then Felix did some of the hooks on some of the songs. It was kind of like they all, like, traded their talents throughout the full, like, 6 songs.
Right.
But, like, they put out a few singles, like Real, I think, was the first single.
Okay.
Needs and Once were the other singles. But just every song on the project was super well done. The sequencing of this project is incredible. Just the way it flows from one song to the next. And even the outro, which is called Lightwork, is a great way to close it off.
Yeah.
And it's called a volume 1, so I think they're going to do a second
more volumes
one,
after
which is
the
going to
fact.
be pretty cool.
That's cool.
But because I discovered Paris Price from this, I ended up digging into his back catalog, and he's super cool. He does a lot of like R&B hip hop blends. Like he can sing, but he's also very good lyrically.
Nice.
So he can do like the more melodic hooks, but also give you very great bars.
Kind of like a Black type artist.
Honestly, kind of, but not as like dark of production. Maybe like reel it back a bit.
Yeah.
A different type of voice, but to an extent, kind of like Black.
Mm-hmm.
But I just love the way that all three of them kind of combine their skills, because Felix, like, he's a vocalist, but he does very weird styles of production. Like, he incorporates jazz and alternative and some R&B and hip-hop. Like, he's worked with No Name, like, all of No Name's early work. Felix produced a lot of that
that's
early
cool.
stuff.
Yeah.
And he did vocals on, like, some of her early mixtapes and albums. So they all kind of, like, combine their skills together in this project. And you can tell that they're all very, like, enhanced musical minds. Like, they all just came together and made a really cool project. So again, had no idea that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, that just came out.
Until it just happened. But it was cool to talk with Mad Keys about it. And, you know, he was like, yeah, it was kind of just a cool thing that we did. And I could tell that they were probably working on more stuff that will be coming out. So
yeah, that's cool that they have like a whole collective of songs that they probably have.
And apparently the collective is more than just like the music, because they're doing like, I just saw this week they did a collab with Snoop Dogg for like a new like jewelry brand. And they're doing like athletic partnerships. They're doing all kinds of different stuff.
Oh, that's dope.
So it's like a whole creative like agency.
Yeah, like a whole thing that they just do all together. Oh, that's actually really sweet.
Yeah, so that was my like surprise project of the year. I'll probably have to send that to you, honestly, because it's a really cool project, and it's only like 18 minutes total.
Oh, that's
so you
that's
could just
quick
get
listen,
in the car and like drive to work and listen to the whole thing.
Shit, I might get through it before I even get to work. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's like that's quality. I love shorter albums like that that don't take a lot of time.
EPs are just like so much easier to listen to than like the full project sometimes.
Yeah,
so.
Just easy get through, super simple listen, nothing over complicated. I love that.
Yeah. So what is next for you?
Well, now let's get into an album that is complicated.
It's complicated. Oh, it is complicated.
Ladies and gentlemen, I will leave the
It's a song. It's a song by that guy.
It's a song.
Just forget it. Just forget it.
Don't forget.
What's your album?
Stream the song. So the next album I have is Childish Gambino, Bando Stone, and The New World.
Yeah. Which is where that song is from that you mentioned.
Yeah, Lithuania. So here's the story of this album with me. So I listened to Lithuania and I loved that song, had high hopes for the album. So here's where the album like fucked up for me. So and this guy knows, but the start of the album I was not enjoying. I'm gonna be honest. It wasn't clicking for me. I thought it was way too experimental. I was literally going to write this one as one of my most disappointing albums.
Borderline about to be disappointing.
It was like just not great. But then Gambino slaps me in the face and he's like, "You're going to love this Gambino album. So help me God." And so then from tracks like 6 and beyond were the most amazing songs that I've heard from him in a while. Like, it was just so great. Just great features, great production. Like, just very well put together alternative songs, and like, there's little rapping here and there, like Yoshinoa, that shit. And there's even the beat switch in that song, and then it's basically a Drake diss that no one really talks about, but it's really...
Well, that's because like it happened the year that all the Kendrick stuff
happened, too.
Like, maybe people will care more about it in the future.
Yeah, in future time. But like, when you listen to that verse, like, it's basically a Drake diss, and I'm like, oh my God. But songs like In the Night with Georgia Smith, my word! That's some top level R&B performances right there. And then you get Cruisin' with Yeet, and don't get me wrong, I hate everything that Yeet.
That's one of the ones you played me.
Yeah.
And I remember, again, I'm like with you, I don't really like him that much as an artist, but I did like the song though. I thought the song was really
yeah.
I thought really I thought he could have been left off.
He could have been left off, but I feel like the song itself is really good. Yeah. Good layerings on that song, like songs like "Dadvocate," like. It's such a feel-good song. Like, it just makes me feel good every time I hear it. Like, where he's talking to his kids about, like, his role in life and how he wants to be there for them and, like, give them the life that they need. There's even a song on here where he features one of his kids. That's really interesting. That was really solid. And then, like, to end it off, we're A Place Where Love Goes, which sounds exactly like something from a Yeezus album, was just... It was so good. A place where love goes. Bum, 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 like, it just blew my mind.
It sounded exactly like that.
Like, bum, 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 bum. Yeah, that's exactly the sound that Gambino made on the project. But I digress. This was an amazing body of work. You wouldn't think that from the first half of it. Like, I was not...
I do remember you telling me that, like, you did not... At first, you were not enjoying it, and then it eventually picked up, and then you did enjoy it.
And then I just ended up just completely loving it after that. Yeah. So yeah, that just was an album that, like, I had anticipation for. My anticipation was dropping, but then it went back up. Yeah, but then he lifts me back up, and, like, it was just so great. Like, Cruisin' is great. Like, Dadvocate, I love that. I feel like whenever I become a father, like, that's probably how I'm gonna feel, like, listening to that song, because I'm like, this is just a really touching thing that you can say to your kid. So I just loved everything about it. And then there's supposed to be a movie that's supposed to be coming with it eventually. I just don't know when that's happening. They dropped the trailer for it.
Like next year at some
maybe. Yeah, and then, like, he toured the album, and it was supposed to be the last tour of Childish Gambino, but, like, who knows? Like, yeah. So, yeah, another great album from Troy and Abed in the morning.
Yeah, you should have had him on there.
Yeah, you should have had Abed on there.
Yeah. What's his name? Danny?
Danny Pudi.
Yeah, should have had him on that album. Okay, next up is Samurai by Lupe.
Nice.
Pretty obvious choice. Mm-hmm. Again, I had no idea going into the year that he was putting an album out. The only thing I knew is that he was working on, like, an Amy Winehouse concept album. Yeah. That's the only thing I knew. I didn't know a title. I didn't know anything else about it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, well, I haven't heard any updates on it, so I assume it's not coming out anytime soon. And then when they announced this album, it kind of, like, leaked, like, the night before the Samurai song came out. And I was like, well, what is this about? Because, like, I don't understand this. And it was only 8 songs. I was like, well, that's kind of weird. And I'm like, is this even an official thing? Like, what is this? And then when the song came out the next day, it confirmed that, oh, this is it. And then I found out that it was the Amy Winehouse concept album. And I was like, well, now this is going to be pretty sick.
Right.
So like I said earlier about the song, I really enjoyed the song. The album came out, like, the day after my birthday, so I, like, stayed up, listened to the album, and yeah, pretty obvious, really enjoyed the album. I think he's always on point lyrically, always can tell that he has the concept pretty much figured out, and the more I've sat with it now, and, like, hearing the stories behind the song, meaning behind them,
and the knowledge that comes with the song structures.
How it's supposed to be from her perspective.
Right.
I'm like, okay, this is, like, super dope. I thought it was cool how it went from Samurai into the mumble rap song.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the mumble rap song reminded me of The Cool a lot. Mm-hmm. It was a very, like, it got deeply rooted in the concept of the album, and you can, like, visualize that it's her, and she gets cursed by this, like, person to speak in only rhymes. So, like, every time she speaks, it's coming out as a rhyme.
Right.
And I thought, like, the way he did that was crazy. Number One Headband is
Number One Headband is amazing.
Like, and I felt like he was just channeling, like, the energy that went into the albums, like Food and Liquor and The Cool.
And, like, just projected it onto this.
Yeah, like the earlier version, but it was still a brand new concept. And I could really feel the stories that were being told. Because I feel like every time he does a concept album, you can really tell, even if you can't tell, like, the really, like, nuance, like, deep nuances and references, you can tell on the surface level, like, what he's trying to get at. So I felt that way about the whole project. I even like songs like Bigfoot, which is more like a melodic, like a somber song where he's like singing the hook and things like that.
Right.
And then like he almost embraces just like more simple songwriting, like on Outside. Outside's a pretty like straightforward song, but it's still like it still hits pretty hard, and I love the different production in that. And then the way it ends with Till Eternity, I thought was just a perfect cap. And again, like we said, where it's not too long, it just comes in, it does what it needs.
It's only like 20-something minutes.
Yeah, it comes in, it does what it needs to do. It gets exactly, every single song has a purpose within the context of the album, and then it's done, which is exactly kind of how Drill Music in Zion was, where it didn't overstay its welcome.
Great project.
And I personally, now that I've sat with this long enough, I do like this a little bit more than Drill Music. I do love Drill Music in Zion. I think this is honestly even a step up from that.
Right.
Because I could tell the time he took with this one, as opposed to Drill Music, where he made it all within a day, which was the whole point of the album. But this, you could tell he spent like 4 years on that concept and was like, let me actually like come up with the fleshed out version of what this is supposed to be.
Right.
And again, soundtrack, doing the production, like that's the quintessential producer that I would want to be involved in any Lupe Fiasco project, because he just gets the sound of Lupe.
Yeah.
And they've made all the classic records together. So yeah, I mean, I was, as a fan, fully satisfied. Great album.
Yeah.
Gonna try to get the vinyl soon. And I don't know if it'll, like, where it's going to rank for me in his discography, but it's definitely
a top
It definitely
tier.
will make a strong case for, like, being one of his better albums. And I think this one really caught a lot of people's attention that slept on the last few albums. 'Cause I saw a lot of people that were like...
Yeah, there was a lot of people...
They were like, this is his best album since The Cool.
Right.
Like, a lot of people were saying that just based on the concept alone.
There's people that, like, I converse with that, like, were telling me about the Lupe album.
And
that were like, that don't even listen to underground hip-hop.
And I didn't really see a lot of people talking about Drill Music in Zion when it came out.
Right.
I didn't really see a lot of people talking about it. Same with Drogas Wave, which to me is an incredible album. It's a freaking masterpiece.
Yeah, it's a masterpiece of an album.
And Tetsuo and Youth are both very artful, constructed masterpieces of albums.
Right.
But a lot of people weren't talking about them because Lupe wasn't really signed, and he really wasn't. He was just kind of rebuilding.
Yeah, doing his own thing, rebuilding independently.
So now I feel like this album kind of brought him into the limelight a lot more, which is kind of cool. I still think there's probably a lot of people that won't listen to it just because they don't really like pay attention to what he does nowadays, but yeah, I mean, any fan of hip hop, I would recommend this.
Yeah, this is a good album, like 100%.
And again, it's short enough where you can listen to it and get the idea and just keep going.
Like,
so,
if I did an honorable mention, that's definitely my honorable mention, 100%.
Yeah,
that one's a great project.
Yeah.
All right, well, my next one is one that you've already talked about. At 5, I have Vince Staples' Dark Times.
Yeah.
So we've already, gone over the bells and whistles of it, like what made that project great. As a Vince fan, I love when he gets into his dark lyricism and like the very vibey tracks. Some of my favorites, like Justin, that was one that I really enjoyed.
That's like an interlude. And it's just a really good song.
Yeah, and it's good storytelling in there. I like when Vince gets into that bag.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know how to say this fucking song right, but Etouffee.
That's the one K.O.N.L. produced.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is my fucking anthem. I love that song so much. In the ghetto of a market, crash landed, in the dirtiest apartments they landed. When he says dirty ass apartments, I look at my apartment building and I love. He's talking about me. I'm in the ghetto. But yeah, like we were talking about earlier, like this gives like the feelings of older Vince projects, very well put together. One of his best, I would say, in a really long time. So yeah, I feel like there's nothing else I can really add to it other than like this is like one of my top albums.
I think the other track I've been running back from that is Government Cheese.
Yeah,
I really like that song.
Oh, and Freeman is another one that I really love. I love that a lot.
Yeah. Nice solid album.
Yeah,
honestly.
very solid album.
Next up, I have another independent artist who I discovered a couple years ago, Fillmore Green, who's from Chicago. He made my album of the year list 2 years ago. He did the album with Apollo Brown called Cost of Living, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
So I kind of discovered him through being a fan of Apollo Brown, the producer.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's from Chicago, has a very like Chicago style of sound. So if you like Common, artists like that, you like Talib Kweli, like you would probably really enjoy Fillmore Green. But this year it came out with an album called The Grand Design, which is kind of like his follow-up to the Cost of Living album.
Right.
Really awesome production. I love just his production choices that he does. So he had Apollo on a couple songs again. He had Rashid Hadi, who's from Chicago, who's a really great producer. He had a few other people, but this album overall, like the intro, the title track, The Grand Design, really cool song. OMG, which just had a video, that's a great song. He had a record with Rashid Hadi and Sky Zoo called Whole Time.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of cool records. He's a great storyteller.
Yeah.
Very, very great at crafting the stories of his life into music. And you can really like tell the pictures that he's trying to paint with what he's trying to say in every single song. And he definitely doesn't waste any like moment of any record that he does. And I think this, like, as his solo albums, is probably his best one that he's done.
Right.
He did one called, I think it was called Chicago Third World City, which is like his first album. That was also an amazing album. So this is probably like the best one since that first one. That's just like him doing his thing. Love the features. It just came out at the end of October, so it hasn't been out that long.
Right.
But yeah, like right when he announced the album, I was definitely excited because I was just a fan of the Cost of Living album, and this one definitely lived up to the hype of waiting a couple years for his next project. So
100%.
Yeah, I feel like you would definitely like.
Yeah, you'll have to send me that one too.
Sure.
Yeah, I would definitely love to listen to that. Peep that up a little bit.
Yeah. So.
All right.
2 more. I have 2 more. I don't know how many you have.
Wait, how do you have only 2 more?
Because remember, I did the honorable mention, and then I did 9. So now I'm on the last 2 here. I've already done 7 of them.
Oh, that's right. Because you started. So yeah, because I technically have 3 more after this. Okay, so this next one is one of the top albums this year. So I have Future and Metro Boomin, We Don't Trust You. My God, did I love this album. Like, so...
This is the first one, right?
This is the first one, yeah. This is the original one that they dropped first. The one that started all the bullshit. But, so... As a Future fan, like...
As a Future fan.
You have your up and down moments with this man, all right? Like, he's either dropping quality trap music or it's very shit. So, like it's a mystery with this man. It's rough being a Future fan. So, when I saw that he was teaming with Metro Boomin, I was praying to God that this was going to be great. I was like, Metro, get the best out of this man. And he did. Because, holy fuck, this album just was amazing top to bottom. Just a bunch of great songs. I love the beat selections that Metro did and the samples that he gave Future to work with on this. Some of them like were interesting that like I'm like, oh, I like these darker tone like trap songs with Future. Because his voice just fits the tone. And like with his melodic like hooks that just, you know, captivate you from time to time. They're just really great. Great features on this. We had The Weeknd on this. We had Rick Ross on this. We had Travis Scott on this. Kendrick Lamar was on this. And it was just...
The heavy hitters.
All the heavy hitters of hip-hop just on this. And, like, great songs that just are amazing. From the intro. The intro was amazing start to get me into this. And then Young Metro with The Weeknd was just... Oh! Like, he hit you with a 3-piece out the gate. The first 3 tracks are so great and so hard-hitting. And then we get the Like That feature with Kendrick that was as big as it became. And then, like, Cinderella with Travis Scott. That song is addicting as fuck. It's so good. It has great hook. And Travis fits the vibe and bounces off Future so well. Everyday Hustle with Ross. Come on! That is the music you hear when you are a fucking boss, all right? When you are literally...
That's why it has the boss on it.
Like, yeah, when you are literally about to get ready in your suit to go into the office, this is the song you listen to. This is the song that gets you hyped for it. If you want to start a cocaine business and you want to get hyped, this is the song you listen to. Yeah. It's so good. Like, it's so good. And then he ends it off with a great song with What the Fuck You Mean? Like what?
God.
Like, it all around, this is the version of Future I love. This is the version of Future that I expect 90% of the time.
But you only get like
10%. you only get like 10% of the time.
Yeah.
Like, but when it hits, it hits.
Yeah.
And then they followed up with We Still Don't Trust You, which was like, it was good. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was still very good. And it was more melodic and more R&B on that one. But this one, where it was more hip hop and more trap, this was great. One of the best the best trap album of the year to me. And I have no quarrels against saying that Metro and Future are a match made in heaven. Metro knows how to get the best out of Future, and he knows how to make Future sound amazing on records and gives him samples.
That was technically where that whole sound began in 2013 with the Karate Chop.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was kind of the two that started the whole movement, honestly.
Yeah, exactly. And so from that moment on, I knew that you give those two time together, they can create magic. And they did twice with 2 albums. But this one to me will be my favorite. It's probably going to stand the test of time as one of my favorite trap albums. Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I love this so much, and I will probably play it for many years to come. Yeah. So there's that.
I kind of figured that was going to be on the list.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Next up, I have Kendrick Lamar with GNX. Mm-hmm. Just came out last month.
Yeah.
Again, because we talked about it earlier, pleasantly surprised with this album, how good it was. I thought Mr. Morale as an album was a really cool album.
It was cool.
But I think this was a better album personally. Mm-hmm. And I just enjoyed the songs on this a lot more. Heart Part 6 might be the best Heart song he's done. The stories he told about Black Hippie and the original days with TDE and Schoolboy and Absol. I thought that was amazing.
Right.
I was talking about how they kind of just started from nothing and built this whole thing, and he was talking about specifically his role in all of that, how he views himself in the whole storyline and how he might be viewed later on when he's gone. I thought it was an incredible song.
Yeah.
Reincarnated to me is one of the best songs he's ever done. It's up there with Duckworth as probably one of my favorite.
Yeah, Duckworth's amazing. So this
is just the concept of the album of the song of him living other people's lives and the concept of that. And I'm that's something that only someone like Kendrick could do and come up with and have it be as good as it was.
Right. And the Tupac sample is amazing on that. That's just so good.
Overall, I like how he worked with Soundwave for the most part on the majority of the project. Which obviously he's worked on a ton of stuff with Kendrick and all TDE.
Right.
But then he worked with Jack Antonoff, which nobody would have
no one would have saw that happening ever.
But Jack Antonoff ended up contributing to a lot of the standout songs on the project. I like how he didn't include the diss songs in here, but he did kind of incorporate the styles that he went for when he dropped the diss song.
Yeah, the more West Coast sound.
He still had Mustard on production here and there.
Mustard!
I knew it was coming. He still had him on production. He had some different features that were more trap related. So he still incorporated a lot of the different styles in there. But to me, this is since Damn came out, this is probably my favorite project that he's done. Because it kind of reminded me of Damn in a little bit of the same way, where Damn had a lot of different styles, and he was trying a lot of different things. And like I said, I was just impressed that he was able to put out such a quality project while still doing all the stuff earlier in the year, with the Beef and the Pop-Out Show and the Super Bowl. For him to still put out such a great body of work, it just shows that he really is one of the best at just creating high quality albums, and he's definitely an album artist because every time he puts out an album, everybody stops to check out the album. And the fact that he put it out in the middle of the day too, just to kind of
just throw everyone off,
Because
I remember you texted me when it came out, and I was like, "Oh my god!"
And just from first listen alone, I was like, "Wow, this is a really
just blown away
album.
by it."
And I wouldn't consider myself the biggest Kendrick fan in the world. I enjoy Kendrick. I listen to his stuff now and then. I'm not listening to Kendrick every single day like a lot of people do. But for me, you know, to say that, I think says something. Like, I really thought that this was one of his better albums. I see it getting a lot of hate, which I don't understand.
I don't get it either. But that's due to happen.
Yeah, I think
because of the beef.
Honestly, one of his better bodies of work, 100%. And I think it'll probably be looked at that way. Probably years down the line, honestly, it'll probably 100%. Be people will look back at it and be like, "Yeah, we kind of overlooked that in the moment."
It'll be like a classic in years to come,
100%. Because as a body of work, it does hold up. It's not like he was just putting out like, you know, diss records the whole time. Like this album has nothing to do with the beef or anything.
Yeah, exactly. It's its own thing.
So you got to take it as that and just kind of receive it in that way. And I thought it was a great job. So
100%.
Yeah.
All right, we're entering my top 3 here.
Top 3.
All right, so at the number 3 spot, I have "The Death of Slim Shady" by Eminem. This album needed to be great because, like, as I've been listening to M in recent years, there's been some things that have been good and some things that have been very bad.
Yeah.
And so, like, it's like, you know, when he announced this, like, I think around, like, the NFL draft, I think is when he officially announced this. Yeah. Like, when I heard "The Death of Slim Shady," I was like, okay, well, you have to do something with that name. Because, like, you can't just name it that and not have something in mind. Yeah. And so, when I heard the album and I read M's statement about listen to it in order, it's a concept album. And I was like, oh, okay, what's the concept? And then you listen in the concept of the album, it's like, oh, it's showing Slim Shady and the problem of having Slim Shady in this day and age and why Eminem wants to kill that persona of himself. And so the album, it starts with classic Slim Shady type songs. Yeah. Like, you go from, like, Renaissance, which is a great intro. Like, so all the way to, like, Evil and Lucifer and, like, Antichrist. Those sound like classic Eminem, Slim Shady, like, LP songs. Like, you could put those on the Marshall Mathers LP, Slim Shady LP, the Eminem Show, and they would fit. Like, they would work. And I'm like, this is, like, a great introspective song and, like, structure that you have here. And then as you go down the wire, then you start getting more of the, like, later Eminem type songs, like songs you would hear on, like, Relapse, Recovery, like, stuff like that. And then we get, this is like one of my favorite things that I think M's ever done, where Guilty Conscience 2. And it's a genius song of Eminem and Slim Shady having a conversation. And you start seeing the inner turmoil of Eminem as an artist, of, like, Slim Shady being like, without me, you wouldn't have a career. And Eminem like, yeah, but, like, what you're doing and what you are and what you represent isn't what I want to be and isn't what I want to do anymore. Yeah. And it's like a great conversation and a great interest. Like, when you listen to it and you listen to the storytelling about these two having a conversation, you visualize, like, how the scene is playing out. And he plays it out like an actual movie scene. And it's so good. And it ends on a note of, like, basically M. Kim killing Slim Shady. And then now it's just Marshall. Yeah. And I'm like, this is great. Like, now for all the people that are like, oh, I want the old Eminem, I want this Eminem. Like, he's basically, like, with that, he's basically saying, like, look, I know this is what you guys want, but let me show you why this wouldn't work in this day and age. And then, like, it worked because a lot of people got offended by the early tracks on this record because if you're, like, a regular, like, casual.
Yeah, you would just listen to that intro and be like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, is that like, he's just, like, rage baiting and, like, that, but, like, that's what Slim Shady was. Yeah. Like, that's all he was when he came in, is he was a rage baiter, and everyone got pissed at him all the time. And so that's why I think M was genius for, like, showing you why he could never bring the Slim Shady character back. Yeah. And so, like, I was like, this is a genius concept.
I will say I enjoyed, because what was the first song called? The thing they put out, was it Houdini?
Yeah, Houdini was the first single. Yeah, that was the one with the video.
I thought the video was really cool. I hated the song though.
Yeah.
So the song didn't get me excited for the album at all.
Yeah.
I honestly would have rather just listened to the video on mute or watched the video on mute because I was like, the song I hate, but the concept of the video was pretty cool. So
yeah,
but I actually like, because I didn't really know the full concept of the album, but hearing it, I'm like, okay, that does sound pretty intriguing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I said, it has good songs that like if you were an Eminem fan growing up, like hearing those classic types of songs, hearing some Dre production, like it just brought me back to that era of like first listening to M, and like I was like, yeah, this was the Eminem I grew up on. Obviously, like he knows he can't do that anymore, so like this is like an ode goodbye to that era of him. And I'm like, this is a perfect send off, a great way to end that off, and he ends it off very beautifully with like songs to his daughter Haley, like. And like he writes a song from a perspective of like when he's passed away, and like how he doesn't want Haley to like cry for him, and like he wants him to live her life and shit. And then like he ends the album with like a song about how he talks about that time during relapse where like he like almost like overdosed and died, and he talks about how like Haley was the reason that he fought to stay alive, and how he wanted to raise his daughter. So like I thought those were like beautiful ways to end everything. So yeah, like I said, this was just a really great album to me, and it's something that I've been wanting from M for a long time. And honestly, like, I know he's probably gonna drop another album, but like, if he were to call it a career after this album, I wouldn't be mad.
Yeah,
I feel like this is a perfect cap on the hat.
I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll keep going.
I think he'll drop singles, but like, I don't think he'll drop another album, but like who knows?
I could see him still dropping albums. It's just going to be kind of like you said. It's not going to have anything to do with the old style of Eminem.
Yeah, it's going to be all
fairly new stuff.
Yeah,
and, go from there.
Right.
But, yeah, I kind of figured that would be in your list. So yeah, that makes sense.
Right, 100%.
The last one I had was the Sky Zoo album, Keep Me Company, which just came out in November. Like I said, Record Store Day, probably my favorite song on there. Sky Zoo always puts out pretty high quality work. All of his albums are relatively good.
Yeah, you were hyping him up crazy to me like a few weeks ago.
Yeah, because like I said, you got to check out the Mind of a Saint album, which was the Snowfall concept album, where he's rapping from the perspective of Franklin Saint, which is really cool. But this is just a Sky Zoo album, just him as himself again. Yeah. So like I said, Record Store Day is a cool record. Sleeping Beauty was another song. It's got really cool production that I enjoyed a lot. Drug Free School Zone was a nice little like interlude type song that had really cool like New York style production. It's just a nice album. He describes it as like a album for the winter time. Yeah. For like this time of year, so that's why he put it out this time of year.
To just kind of like vibe with like
so you can definitely get that from like the production style and just like the lyrical style, but it's pretty much like because I don't think you've heard any of his stuff, but like it's kind of what you would expect from him, like content wise and lyrical wise. Yeah.
Just the introspective storytelling and all
there's
that.
Like a lot of double entendres and a lot of like deeper things you'd have to dig for and kind of like sit with for a bit, like with the concepts. But yeah, I thought it was a pleasant surprise because, like I said, he did the Mind of a Saint album, which technically came out in 2023, but they did the deluxe version this year that had like the 7 new songs on it. So he technically already did an album at the beginning of the year. So for him to turn around and then do like his own album as like himself again and do such a like high quality body of work, I thought that was pretty cool to kind of like drop it on Black Friday at the end of the year,
just get you in that wintertime vibe, like automatically.
So it was good. It was very good and good enough to sneak its way into my list at the very end. It was kind of like the one right before the cutoff that I would put in there as this is like really cool. I would definitely recommend it to people. And an artist that probably not a lot of people know of, unless you're like a huge New York hip hop head, then you probably know him. But other than that, not a lot of people know Sky Zoo. Yeah. He has an album with Pete Rock as well that I think is really cool. That people should check out. But yeah, he's got a ton of projects, mixtapes, EPs, albums. So
yeah, the whole nine.
Yeah.
Damn.
So
yeah, I definitely gotta check that out.
Yep.
All right. Number 2, Splot. Spot.
Number 2, Splot.
Splot. Freddie Gibbs, You Only Die Once. Man, oh man, Mr. Gibbs. First of all, like, luxury coke rap, luxury gangster rap is my favorite genre of rap music. All right. I love it so much. And like I was telling you earlier, just hearing Freddie over these samples and just speaking aggressively over the smoothest of beats is just where he fits in so well. And that's why I love this so much. From the start. And there's like a concept in it where like he's having conversations with the devil, and like the devil is like trying to like get him to fall into temptation for certain like things, and like oh, you wouldn't be here without me, and like this is like blah blah blah, like you need to be doing this, that, and the third, and like it's like basically an internal struggle type thing. But he's also giving you the rap that you expect from him, where like he just comes in, gives you like street level rap. He also talks about relationships, and like he talks about his lifestyle and the luxuries of his lifestyle and like the rapper stuff. What was interesting that ended the project was he dropped like the final like track on the project is a track about him reacting to the Diddy news, and like how Diddy was one of his heroes and how he looked up to Diddy and shit. And then he talks about how that affected the way that he thinks and the way that he moves now, because like he thought that, you know, Diddy was this person that he could follow and like try and mold his like lifestyle around. But then like he's just like, I used to look up to him, and like, but now like I'm thinking like this way, and like what would like, and then he starts thinking about other people, like, oh, how would Pac feel about certain situations like this? And he starts going into perspectives of that. And like, oh, like, how would Biggie feel about like something like, and he just starts going into a very introspective way of telling his emotions, but also like taking account for other people of like, how would they feel if their hero let them down? Yeah. Like, and then like, he just kind of like, somberly just tells like how depressing it is to like go through that, and then like try and, you know, build yourself up and try and like realize that like you only got yourself.
Yeah.
So like that's where I feel like, you know, the whole album is like a, you know, don't like fall in line following someone. Think of things your own way and follow your own footsteps and stuff, and like
be
then
your
it'll
own person.
Yeah, be your own person. And that's where I feel like the concept of the devil thing was like the message behind that. I was like, don't listen to, you know, other people. Listen to yourself and do things your way. And that ending track just kind of, you know, put the cherry on top of like, this is why I think this way. It's because I looked up to somebody that let me down. Yeah. And now I'm like trying to figure out my next steps. So
ties the concept in at the end. Basically.
Yeah, he like puts a nice bow on it at the end there. Oh. So that was like a cool like way of talking about it. And like, it's your anniversary. Oh my god, it's so good. And I'm mad that it's off streaming, but it's so good.
Oh, they took it off?
Yeah, me and Dylan were.
Was it a sample clearance thing?
Yeah, I think it was a sample thing. Me and Dylan were raging about that the one day. We were like, that's such a good song. And it has my favorite song, Ruthless, on there.
I feel like they put albums up and they don't have everything cleared still, and they're just like, let's just do it and see what happens.
Right.
And that stuff happens.
Yeah, and then it just like is off the album.
And maybe they'll get it cleared and it'll get put back up eventually.
Yeah, but that album is just amazing. Yeah. It would have been my number one album of the year if it wasn't for Mustard. Kendrick Lamar GNX is my album of the year. That album is amazing. Yep. Like we've talked about it already. It just has such great production. I love the feature of underground West Coast artists on the whole thing, like Lefty Gunplay, and it just like had great messaging on it, great storytelling. Heart Part 6, Reincarnated. My favorite song is TV Off. I love it. Yep. I love the beat switch on it. I love everything about it. Luther with SZA was really good.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, Peekaboo. That's another one. That's another one that's great. Like just all around, just very West Coast. I love the sound of it. Kendrick sounds aggressive. Kendrick sounds hungry on it. And it's the best that he's sounded in years. like we both agreed, Mr. Morale was great, but this was even better.
Yeah.
I would put this in top ranks for his top projects. And like I already said, years to come, people will look at this as a classic album. And we don't even know still what he has coming because there's rumors that he's dropping another album. Yeah. So like, we could see that. Super Bowl coming up. So a lot of big things are happening with him. So yeah, GNX, surprise drop, got the whole world shaking, got the whole world talking. Whacked Out Murals was a great intro to it. I just love everything about this album. And like Church, I'm not like that big of a Kendrick fan. Like I listen to Kendrick here and there. I do love his lyricism. I do love a good chunk of his songs. I'm not the biggest fan, but I do appreciate Kendrick as an artist, and I do love like when he pops out. And in this instance, this was a great album to drop after the year that he's had. Yeah. So yeah, I just like appreciate that as an artist. So that's my list.
All right,
that is your list. Our lists are done.
Well, before we get out of here, let's just do the what are we looking forward to in 2025?
The clips. Give me the clips!
I didn't have clips, but I had Pusha T. It could have said /clips.
Oh, yeah, the clips. Give me the clips.
I want both, honestly.
Yeah, I want Push, too.
I figure we're going to get a clips thing first because it's been rumored more recently. But technically, we need the DJ drama Pusha T thing. We need all kinds of stuff. So.
Yeah. Apparently, Cuddy's coming next year. Hopefully, it's better than the last project he dropped.
Although you still got to listen to the second album that he dropped.
Yeah, I still got to
again, the first album was not great, but the second album was actually not bad. Yeah. So I would recommend the second version.
And he dropped a killer song with Chip the Ripper too, with "Don't Worry About Me, Baby."
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a great one. But Pusha T, that would be great. The Weeknd obviously is coming in January, so that'll be something to get hyped about. I'm not hyped about the single he dropped with Playboi Carti, but. Hopefully the album is better than the single, so that's something.
I had Common and P-Rock on here if they do part 2, which apparently I guess P-Rock said that they're trying to drop it next year if they do it. So obviously I'd be intrigued on that. Nas and DJ Premier.
Yeah, Nas and DJ Premier. Yeah, forgot about
that. Is
that.
actually a real thing,
right?
Because I still don't buy it. Wale, I think he's supposed to be dropping another album soon.
Yeah, that'll be a solid one.
Other than that, I don't really. I mean, I'm kind of just. I never really know for sure like who's going to drop and who's not.
Well, here's some other ones. J. Cole, obviously, Cole. That's another one that's gonna
Which
as
he's
the biggest J. Cole fan.
I think at this point that's a definite.
Yeah, that's 100% happening next year. Jid, I would love to hear more from Jid. He hasn't dropped in like almost 2 years, so that'll be another one that I'd be looking forward to. There was someone else. Denzel Curry. He's already tweeted that next album is loading, so that'll be a new thing coming next year.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Saba No ID album.
Yeah, that's another one
coming out in January.
Yeah, that's
which I've been waiting on that for like 2 years now.
Right.
Like that's been in the works because I think they did the album and then scrapped a lot of it and then they did it again. A lot of the original album isn't even like a thing anymore.
Right.
So, but I'm interested to see how that's going to sound as a full album. Because I've liked what they've put out as like singles from the project, so
100%.
Yeah.
Can Janae drop another album, please?
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah,
I really she would have dropped by now.
I need Janae in my life.
Yeah,
I need that.
But I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pleasant surprises, like there always is.
Yeah. Snow Allegra, I need some of that too. Like that should hit me.
There's a lot of artists, obviously.
I'll tell you who I don't want to see. I don't want to see Drake next year. I really don't.
We will though.
We will, but I really don't. Yeah. Stay away. Like I'm so serious. I love you, Drake, but no. I don't want to hear from you next year. Take a break.
This was the break.
What do you mean?
He's gonna drop like 3 albums next year.
Oh, that's right. He didn't drop an album this year. So we're screwed. Damn it.
We're right at the 2-hour mark, so I think it's a pretty good place to wrap up. But any final thoughts before we get out of here?
No, I think this has been, like I said, a great year for music.
Yeah.
I'm hoping 2025 will be even better. And I have high hopes that, there's going to be a lot of surprises next year, a lot of good moments next year. There's already things announced that we know about that already have me excited for next year. But 2024 overall was a great year. better than 2023 by a large margin.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot of surprises, a lot of albums that we didn't even mention, like Tyler the Creator's Chromacopia, and like, you know, there's like so much music that came out this year that like we couldn't encapsulate it all, but I feel like we did a good job like getting the best like sounding stuff out like this year.
Yeah, I agree, and appreciate everybody for watching and who's going to watch the YouTube replay, because I feel like a lot of people will be watching that.
Yeah, I feel like the YouTube replay will be a thing.
Thanks to people that tuned in, and yeah, we'll see you guys. I'll see you guys in a few weeks, but you'll probably see this guy in a while from now.
Yeah,
we'll do this again next year.
Yeah, you'll see me in the future at some point. I don't know when. Whenever this guy decides to let me out of the cage.
Yeah.
But
thanks for stopping by, friend. Thanks for coming by and doing our annual stream. So
of course.
But until next time and next year.
Adios.
Have a great holiday, people.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Peace.
Feliz Navidad. Bye.